I did not seek your pity, and this is not a sad story. This is a story of inner strength and of knowing thyself. I share my story in hopes of speaking to others who might find themselves in similar situations, so that maybe they can find comfort in my words and knowing they're not alone, and to encourage you all to take control of your health story, no matter what it may be, because the stories that we tell ourselves become so much more than just words. I wake up, and before I've had a chance to open my eyes or to think of anything else, the pain is already awake for the day, commanding my attention. Usually, it wakes me before my alarm. It feels like a fire burning in my abdomen, like a cat that's trying to claw its way out from inside me. I roll out of bed. I drag my sore body to the bathroom. This is my sick sanctuary. I draw a hot tub, and I plug in my fan across the room. I sprinkle in some salt, turn on some medicine music, and I sink into the warm water and let it envelop my sore stomach in a soft, wet hug. I begin praying for relief. I begin singing and chanting to stimulate my vagus nerve and try to distract myself from the nausea that just won't stop. This is my sick day routine. I've struggled with many of these symptoms since adolescence, and having my diagnosis now, it all makes sense. But back then, I felt like the doctors were just throwing different ailments and diseases and disorders at a wall, seeing what would stick. She's lactose intolerant. Oh, this is all IBS related. No, we're almost certain it's Crohn's. Endometriosis is often misdiagnosed, and on average, it takes 8 years to reach a proper diagnosis. And my story wouldn't be much different. I began self-medicating in my youth in a desperate attempt to manage the pain that I was feeling both physically and mentally in my life. And several years later, when I grew up a bit, I began piecing my life back together. And I had to get serious about my health because something wasn't right. And things felt so much worse than I ever remembered feeling before. But things were different now. Because of my past with addiction, now when I went to seek help, I wasn't treated the same by doctors anymore. Aside from a few really caring souls, to most of them, I was just another drug seeker now. And this certainly made getting answers even more difficult. But I knew that I had to keep advocating for my health because my body had carried me this far and it deserved that much from me. I remember crying to my doctor, just pleading, I don't want drugs. I am not interested in masking my pain. I want to know what's wrong. I want to heal. I fought like hell to be heard. And 3.5 years, a handful of specialists, several invasive tests, and a surgery later, I've finally arrived at my diagnosis. I have endometriosis. So, what does that mean? Well, I really don't know. I thought that getting a diagnosis would change things somehow, that I would feel different, or it would bring me some closure, or maybe it would give me some more options. But as far as endometriosis is concerned, there aren't many options made available, and honestly, I didn't feel any different knowing. And I think that's when I began to decide that I did not have to live out the story that someone else has written about my health, about my illness. And it was time that I began rewriting my own, because having endometriosis doesn't mean that I can't still have a full and meaningful life. And it certainly doesn't make me a weak healer or a bad witch either. In fact, my endometriosis has been one of the greatest mentors of my life and of my practice. It has taught me great lessons, many tools for healing, for myself, for others. It taught me to understand and speak the language of my body, the language of pain. And it taught me that I'm tough as fucking nails. The lessons that it has taught me run deep and wide. Pain has a place in my life. Pain is here to protect me, to teach me, to show me what needs my attention. Pain is an important piece of my body's native tongue, but I hadn't been listening. Instead of listening to what it was trying to tell me, I cursed it for raising its voice at me. And instead of giving it my attention and love and healing, I went through great lengths to push it away, to silence it. I spent years of my life trying to silence my own body's voice, and at my body's expense. If I want to heal, truly, I have to begin by listening to what my body is telling me. One of the greatest lessons that I've learned from pain is that we can take the things that are supposed to limit us and we can begin to peel back the layers until we expose their lessons, allowing us to take what was once limiting and plant it as a seed of growth inside our soul so we can begin healing. So the next time that your body is trying to speak to you, no matter how uncomfortable it may feel, I urge you to listen carefully to what it's trying to tell you.